You wake up at 2 in the morning. The ship is moving. Your chest feels tight. You do not know where the medical center is. You do not know the emergency number. And you just found out that Medicare does not cover a single dollar of what is about to happen. If you are over 60 and planning a cruise, this video is for you. Like and subscribe so you have this information before you need it. I worked on cruise ships for 7 years. Guest services, security, passenger decks. I saw this from every angle. And one pattern repeated itself more than almost any other. Passengers walking into the ship's medical center completely unprepared. No medication list, no insurance information, no understanding of what anything was going to cost or how the process worked. Not because they were careless people, because nobody had told them. The medical center on a cruise ship is a real, professionally staffed facility, but it operates under completely different rules than any clinic or hospital you have used at home. And those differences matter in ways that can catch you off guard financially and medically at the worst possible moment. Today, I am giving you the 9 things I wish every passenger over 60 already knew before they boarded. Not to alarm you, to prepare you. Because a cruise should be the trip you remember for all the right reasons, and the information in this video helps make sure it stays that way. The first thing, and I want to lead with this because it surprises more passengers than anything else on this list, is that the ship's medical center charges full fee for every single service. There is no included care. A basic consultation with the ship's doctor typically runs between $100 and $200. IV fluids for dehydration, tests, a prescription, it adds up fast. I personally watched passengers receive bills over $1,000 for what was, medically speaking, a fairly routine situation. The shock on their faces was real. And here is what made it worse. Most of them assumed their regular health insurance covered it. For many passengers, it does not. Medicare, specifically, does not cover medical expenses outside the United States. The moment your ship leaves American waters, you may have zero effective coverage. Travel insurance with real medical limits is not optional at this stage of life. It is the most important item on your packing list. Before you sail, call your insurance provider directly and ask 2 questions. Does this plan cover care received on a cruise ship, and does it cover care in international waters? Get the answer in writing. Then look at travel insurance options with a medical coverage limit of at least $100,000. That number sounds high until you understand what we are going to talk about in the 5th point. And that brings me straight to the 5th thing, because the financial stakes get significantly higher in one specific type of emergency, and most passengers have no idea until it is too late. The second thing is your medication list, and this is the simplest preparation on this entire list, yet most passengers skip it entirely. Picture this. You are brought into the medical center and the doctor asks what medications you are taking. You cannot remember the exact names. You are not sure of the dosages. You left the bottles in your cabin. That scenario plays out regularly on cruise ships, and it slows down treatment in ways that matter. Before you sail, print a medication list with the generic name of every drug, the dosage, and the frequency. Keep a copy in your travel wallet. Take a photo of it on your phone and leave one in your cabin drawer. If you are sailing with a companion, give them a copy too. This takes 5 minutes at home and can meaningfully affect the quality of care you receive on board. I watched a passenger in the medical center spend 20 minutes trying to recall the name of a blood thinner she had been taking for 3 years. The doctor treating her needed that information to make a safe decision about her care. A printed list eliminates that problem entirely. It is the single, lowest effort preparation with the highest possible payoff. The third thing is the ship's pharmacy, and specifically what it does not carry. The medical center stocks medications for the most common acute situations: pain relief, anti-nausea drugs, antibiotics, basic cardiac emergency medications. What it often does not stock is your specific brand name medication for a chronic condition. You run out of a critical medication on day 6 of a 14-day sailing in the middle of the ocean, and there is no substitute available on board. That is a preventable situation. Experienced travelers pack at least 50% more of every essential medication than the number of days they are sailing. Main supply goes in the cabin safe. A smaller daily amount stays in your bag, so you have access anywhere on the ship or ashore. Never pack all of your medications in checked luggage. Checked bags can be delayed, misrouted, or simply not make it to your cabin until the evening of embarkation day. Your day one medications need to be with you. This is especially true for time-sensitive medications like insulin, thyroid medication, or anything taken at a specific hour. Those go in your carry-on in an original, labeled container every single time. The next point is one that catches passengers off guard even on itineraries where the sea looks completely calm. The fourth thing is seasickness, and this matters more for passengers over 60 than most people realize. Seasickness is not just uncomfortable. In older passengers, the vomiting and fluid loss that come with it lead to dehydration quickly, and dehydration escalates into something more serious faster than you would expect. The ship's medical center can treat seasickness with prescription-strength anti-nausea medication that is far more effective than anything over the counter. But the passengers who recovered fastest were the ones who came in early, at the first real sign of feeling unwell, not after hours of suffering through it. If you have any history of motion sensitivity, start prevention before the ship departs: patches, wristbands, or medication. And if the sea gets rough and you feel genuinely ill, do not wait to feel worse. Go. There is no version of that decision you will regret. The medical team on every ship I worked on said the same thing. The passengers who come in early go home the same day. The ones who wait until they cannot stand up spend 2 or 3 days in their cabin recovering. Early action is the entire difference. And if you are on a rough weather day and you have already taken prevention medication but still feel off, sit midship on a lower deck, fix your eyes on the horizon, and sip cold water slowly. That is the best non-medical support you can give yourself before going to be seen. Now, the fifth thing I promised, and this is where the numbers get serious. The fifth thing is understanding what the ship's medical center actually cannot do. The team on board is qualified, and the equipment covers acute care and stabilization. But complex cardiac procedures, surgery, stroke intervention, advanced imaging, those are not available at sea. When a passenger needs that level of care, the next step is medical evacuation. That means a helicopter or diverting the ship to the nearest port, or both in sequence. Medical evacuation from a cruise ship can cost anywhere from $50,000 to over $200,000, depending on where the ship is and what is required. That number is not covered by standard health insurance. It is not always fully covered even by travel insurance, unless the policy specifically includes evacuation with a meaningful limit. If you have a cardiac history, a history of stroke, or any condition that could require emergency specialized intervention, 2 things matter before you book: a direct conversation with your doctor about that specific itinerary, and a careful read of your travel insurance evacuation coverage. Some itineraries, Alaska wilderness sailings, certain transatlantic crossings, remote South Pacific routes, put you genuinely far from major medical facilities for extended stretches. That is a real planning factor, not a theoretical concern. I am not saying do not take those cruises. I am saying know what your itinerary actually means in terms of response time, and make sure your insurance matches the risk profile of where you are going. A Caribbean cruise that is never more than a few hours from a major port is a different situation from a sailing that spends 3 consecutive days at sea in a remote corridor. The sixth thing is the after-hours emergency protocol. And this is one I want you to act on today, not someday. The medical center operates on set scheduled hours, typically a morning session and an afternoon session. Outside those hours, an on-call physician is available specifically for genuine emergencies. The way you reach that physician is through the ship's emergency line. That number is printed on the back of your cabin door and listed in the cabin phone directory. On your very first day on board, before you go to dinner, before you explore the ship, find that number, write it on a small note card, and leave it on your nightstand. Store it in your phone. because at 2 in the morning, you will not be flipping through a directory calmly. You will be in the dark, under stress, possibly alone, possibly frightened. Knowing exactly what to do in that moment is the entire value of this point. If you wake up with chest pain, difficulty breathing, sudden dizziness, or any symptom that genuinely worries you, call the line immediately. The staff would always rather respond to a call that turns out to be precautionary. That is exactly what the line is for. One thing I saw repeatedly: passengers who waited until morning to call about a symptom that had started during the night because they did not want to disturb anyone. In most of those cases, earlier care would have meant a better outcome and a faster return to enjoying their cruise. The on-call physician is there specifically for this reason. Use the resource. That is not bothering anyone. That is the system working correctly. The seventh thing is what happens when you get sick ashore, because that is a completely different situation, and it catches passengers off guard. You are in a port, walking through town, and suddenly you feel seriously unwell. Your instinct might be to find a local clinic, but your first call should be to the ship. Guest services can connect you with the medical team, who will help you decide whether to return immediately or whether local care is appropriate for your situation. The quality of local medical facilities varies enormously from port to port, and the ship's team knows that landscape better than you do. Before every port day, charge your phone fully, save the ship's contact number, and carry any essential medications in your bag. If you are on a ship-sponsored excursion, the tour leader has direct contact with the ship and can coordinate a response immediately. That is one real advantage of booking through the ship when your health makes independent exploration feel like a risk. One more thing worth mentioning: if you do end up receiving any local medical care at a port, keep every receipt, every document, and every discharge paper you are given. You will need all of it to file a travel insurance claim when you return home. Local medical records do not automatically transfer anywhere, and a missing receipt can delay or reduce your reimbursement significantly. The eighth thing is the one that voids more insurance claims than anything else, and it is entirely avoidable. When you purchase travel insurance, you must declare your pre-existing health conditions accurately. Passengers skip this because they worry about higher premiums or exclusions. What happens instead is worse. An undeclared condition means the insurer can deny the entire claim at the moment of your greatest need. A heart condition, diabetes, high blood pressure, respiratory issues, all of it needs to be declared. Yes, the premium may be slightly higher. That is the cost of coverage that actually works. A policy that looks affordable but excludes your real health situation is not protection. It is paperwork that gives you a false sense of security while leaving you fully exposed at the moment that matters most. If you are unsure how to navigate the pre-existing conditions section of a travel insurance application, a licensed travel insurance broker can walk you through it in under 30 minutes. It is worth the time. The ninth thing is the one I want to end on, because it is the simplest and it brings everything else together. Before you board, have one specific conversation with your doctor. Not a general, "Am I okay to travel?" question. A real conversation about your itinerary, your medications in the heat and humidity of your specific destinations, any vaccinations recommended for your ports of call, and whether your recent health history is something a ship's doctor should know about. Ask your doctor for a written health summary, diagnoses, recent results, relevant history, that you can hand to a medical professional if needed. Combined with your medication list, that document gives any doctor treating you a complete picture without you having to reconstruct it under stress. The passengers who handled medical situations on my ships with the least fear and the fastest recovery were not lucky. They were prepared. That is the only difference. And preparation in this case is one doctor's appointment and one printed page. Ask specifically about any vaccinations recommended for your ports of call. This changes more than most people realize from year to year, and it varies significantly by itinerary. Ask whether any of your current medications interact with significant heat, sun exposure, or changes in eating schedule. Ask whether the physical demands of your planned activities are appropriate given your current health. That level of specificity, applied before you board, is what transforms a good cruise into a great one, and what ensures that if something does go sideways, you are ready. You now know what most cruisers only find out after something has already gone wrong. Get the right travel insurance, bring a complete medication list, pack extra of every essential, find the emergency number on day one, and have that conversation with your doctor before you sail. None of this requires anything more than a little time and intention before you board. But each of these steps exists because I watched what happened when passengers skipped them. You now have no reason to be caught off guard. If this helped you, hit like and subscribe. Safe sailing.